What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a couple days since I've filled you in on what's going on. I'm making quite a bit of progress, and I don't want to get too far ahead before I can't show you what's going on here. So let me give you a walk around the car and fill you in since we did stuff from the last video. So I'm sitting here, so let's start in the wheel tub. As you can see, remember I said they didn't fit exactly the way that I wanted them to, so I've cut patches and stuff and made it fit pretty nice. Pretty much sealed it up all the way to the point where the joints can be sealed when we seam seal it after it's primed. And as you can see, you want to get your fabrication work done and get it in primer as soon as you can, because just from the last video you can see how much surface rust is created on the surface, and this thing's been in the air and in the shop. So if you want to get that stuff covered, I'm gonna have to scuff and clean all the surface rust off this thing. Obviously what we did was we just further took the car apart more. Now I have the deck lid off. I have the doors off. Let me get up under here and go inside the trunk. If you could see, I've put this support bar. The hood latch was just a sheet metal piece, and it had an electric hood latch where you just shut it kind of like a Cadillac, and it closes on its own. Bunch of unnecessary weight for this race car. So we added this support back here. That's going to tie the rear frame rails together. That's going to be something to weld off of when we make the brackets for the fuel cell. It's going to support the latch for the trunk. Just to let you guys know where we're at on this car. Here we go. 3-inch hole saw. Didn't have a lot of spots back here that I wanted to put holes that were going to weaken it, so I got a couple ounces of weight out there and down there, and same thing on this side. Both sides are different because of the spare tire well in this car and the fuel opening in one side, so didn't wanna, if you look, I've had to go a little farther than my holes because I don't want to run into that flange where it's welded. What else do we got? My coil-over shock bar is welded in, as you can see, nice and level, square with the frame. This is gonna mount the coil-over shocks that I don't have yet. The Team Z upper torque box, completely welded around to the frame. Completely. It's square, it's level to the chassis. Everything is good. Going on to the right side, you can see the torque box all welded in. Kind of the same thing with the patches, and what I did was I ended up just folding the floor up here, left it a little long and folded it up. Stitched in the inside and outside, so it's very strong. Same here. Like I said, this wheel well in the back shaped a little different, so it came out a little cleaner. Seam seal all the edges after the rust is clean, and we're good to go. Right, so that's as far as we've gotten with the back and stuff, and the next thing's to do the subframe connectors. So I guess let's get under the car. I could kind of show you what's going on, why we're doing the subframe connectors, what they're for. The way we're doing it is a little different than some of the kits that are out there. Anybody's welcome to comment if they would like. I think it's going to work out pretty good. It's going to look good and be consistent with the rest of the vehicle. So let me turn the camera around again. Remember, we got our Team Z front end, and the front rails are capped off with the kit. This plate to weld the bar to start off of. Same thing up there. The entire frame rail stitched together, so it's completely boxed. It's stitched to the floor. I did show you guys this in the last video. So basically it's stitched, but they end about under the seat, both front frame rails, okay? And then we go to the back of the car. It's got something similar. These frame rails are frame rails. We've cut everything off them, all the stock brackets, all the nightmare of metal and scrap pile we have for those. But we've got a clean rail, and it's stitched on top to the floor all the way up, so it's strong and it's boxed and it's good. All right, but if you look, we could come around. So here's the frame rail, goes up, ends there, bumper goes into it. We could take a look at this frame rail. As it comes down, it's boxed. This whole end is open. If you could see it, it's just opened. And we've put tacks up here because, you know, this bar comes across and holds it. And I do believe it's the same in the Mustang and the Cougar. And we've also welded it back here to the car where it's strong. All right. So basically what we've done, and this is the plan, I've traced these plates. They're gonna weld into here like this to box the end of these frame rails off. And if you can see, I already have one of them done. I got a plate on there, and I cut it a hair big because it gave me a spot where I could really, a little tiny 90-degree angle where I could get some good welding going on against the frame rail, since there's not a lot of room to work. It's so close to the floor. So that's done. Let's go inside the car. I could show you that piece over there. So basically that's what we did. I put some tape. I made a square hole. I drilled 4 tiny holes at the ends so we don't have overcuts and it looks like shit. If you notice how I put the tape, it's within the curve. It still has this, you know, and it's about welded down here under that caulk, so you know we want to leave some meat there. It's still going to be strong, but that gives us another plate, kind of like the front where we did the tube front end to the tube off of. So we'll weld, and I don't think I'm going to have to bend these pipes, but a lot of subframe connectors you get that are bent, I don't think I'll be able to bend them the same. I don't have a bender, but it's long enough to have this slight angle to still work. You can see where the front has to come down, and this isn't the bar I'm using, just making sure the pipe fits in here. I'm gonna have to notch down into the floor there and do some cutting and sink it down and weld it down to the front rail. Kind of gotta do it as I go and see how it fits. Careful to move tiny bits of metal at a time so we don't go too far. So the other side marked, I just gotta take a cut-off wheel, knock that plate out, and then I can weld my other plate up, and then I can start fitting tubes down onto the floor. We want to connect the front frame to the rear frame. That's the whole point in this. These Fox bodies are weak, they twist there. You got 1200 horsepower twisting up front to a rear end that It either wants to spin the tires or lift the front of the car if the traction's good. So the only thing that ties this together is this weak thin floor and this back seat area. So the car is pretty flexible, you know, from the factory. Granted, we welded up and stiffened the car up like I was showing you with the stitching, and I still got to come in here and stitch all this up around the door openings and the window frames, and tie the top of the car together and stuff. So that'll help, but the subframe connectors are necessary. They've something that's always been done on a Fox body Mustang. No reason that shouldn't be done to this. It's longer, so it's gonna have more flex. The openings are bigger. So we're doing it in chrome moly round tube, 1 5/8. I guess I could have went thicker. That's what the rest of the chassis is in, so that's what I'm doing. Once it's all gusseted and welded down, I think it should be fine. A lot of guys go with the square because it's stronger, and I don't really like the way that those fit. And they look, once they're in, they look like they don't belong in there. They look like some I-beams that somebody just welded in some industrial steel they found laying around. I don't like the look. I do believe there's going to be a leg coming off here for the cage.